Hello, very warm welcome. You're watching Your Trades on ET Now. This is Priyanka Uppal and along with me is Snehisha. What a start to the new financial year. Nifty hits yet another record level. Bank Nifty was over the moon today. Looks like a great start to the financial year, Snehi. All the index were trading in green, and the biggest surprise, in fact, the biggest of the moves came from metals, commodities, and reality. And in fact, it was a day of all round buying. Seems like bulls have got some good data to show, and we've got a lot of news also this week. This will be dominated by auto sales for sure, MPC, and as we saw that, in fact, week only we saw the kind of data which rollovers show. Stock futures were 93% up, which is nearly 3 months of average. It was a broad-based buying. In fact, broader markets also did a good show today. Nifty small cap was up 3%, which has crossed nearly 50 DMA. Mid cap, if you talk about, that was 1.5% up. Top sectors, if you talk about reality, metal, commodities, these were the gaining sectors. In fact, all the sectors were green except for FMCG. But then Nifty had one of the key reasons was, of course, the macro data was very supportive. China PMI, which March month PMI, which came in, which was better than expected. In fact, it expanded first time in 6 months, and that's what we saw the rally in metal stocks. Name any stock which could be steel, copper, zinc, they all were buzzing in the trade today. And in fact, reality stocks, if you talk about mid-cap names like Prestige, did a good show today. Their Prestige subsidiary has inked a landmark deal with Abu Dhabi Investment Authority and Kotak AIF. That was the one reason that we saw huge gains on stocks like Prestige also. But then if you talk about other sectors also, which steal the charm today, were textile stocks were buzzing today. In fact, a lot of smaller sectors were also up 8 to 10% today. In fact, there were couple of brokerage notes also, because of which we could saw a bullish move and a big move coming on stocks like PNP Housing, which was nearly 13% up today on a positive brokerage note from Morgan Stanley, wherein CARE and ICRA has also upgraded their long-term rating to AA+, and of course this helps reduce the borrowing cost, which was one of the reasons that we saw a huge movement in the stock today. Indus Stars was also up 6% today, here also because of a brokerage note. CLSA maintained an outperform rating. Target price was also hiked from 265 to now 335, and hence we saw a move like 6% on Indus Stars also. Many surprises, in fact, many other stocks, but then IT stocks, there were a couple of notes on IT stocks also. Morgan Stanley talks about, in totality for IT, that in fact they have lowered down the sector EPS also. They've said that we have to moderate the growth estimate also, but then hence at the same time we see that they've upgraded the large cap IT banking also, with likes of Infosys, TCS and HCL. So a lot of action today, Snehi. What did you capture?
Well, yes, lots of action today, but a lot of exclusive coverage also for you today. We've got a bunch of 18-hour exclusive for you today, and what made headlines today was the 18-hour exclusive that says that toll hike has been put on hold temporarily. Now, our sources have told us that the toll tax hike on all national highways has been temporarily halted by the centre. Now, remember, this tax toll rate hike was supposed to be implemented from today, but that has been put on hold for now. Yet another 18-hour exclusive now. Oil Ministry's 100-day agenda and the gas pipeline activities were also in focus, because yet once again we've learned from reliable sources that the Oil Ministry is reading the first 100 days agenda for the new government, which is likely to be submitted to the Cabinet Secretariat by the end of this month. And well, the most important one out of them all, the April FNO series for the Nifty contract begins today with the start of the new financial year. So, well, yes, lots of market action coming in, lots of stocks buzzing in today's trading session. And well, we couldn't have asked for a better start to the year. Seems like that, because the markets also did pretty well and held on to good levels today. Like Priyanka mentioned, we did hit a new record high today. But however, the markets were not able to sustain those levels, but still ended the day with a gain of 0.6%. But to understand more about what's next for the markets, what the moves could be like, and what the bull versus bear scenario could be like going ahead, we are being joined by Mileen Vasudev, the senior technical analyst at Arihant Capital Markets. Mileen, hi, thanks so much for taking the time out and speaking to us today. Help us understand the moves that we saw on the Nifty today in particular, because at one point of the trading session, quite early on, we did hit a fresh record high, but towards the close of the day's trading session, we drop quite significantly below that 500 mark as well. So help us understand what can we assume next for the Nifty and any levels if you're watching out for.
Good afternoon. Now, if you see, last time also we were there. I was there on the show, and I clearly mentioned that Nifty is heading towards the all-time high, and it will go further and can extend its gains beyond that. Now, today we made an all-time high, and now we are of the opinion that some consolidation could take place at current level. Yes, there is a good support at 22,300, 22,168 levels, but then overall the trend is up, and buy and decline strategy should be adopted in this market. We are working out with the targets of 22 700 to 22,800 in couple of weeks time. So one should trade with positive bias in this market. If you see, the breadth of the market was also positive. Now, last week we had seen good activity in large cap counters. Now today what we have seen is there has been good activity in mid and small cap counters. So going forward, we would have a good rally in mid cap and small cap also. Coming to Bank Nifty, if you see, Bank Nifty also has started making a move on the higher side. Now, Bank Nifty has a good support at somewhere around 47,700 to 47,800. Now, Bank Nifty is trying to test the all-time high of 48,300, and we are of the opinion now even Bank Nifty will participate going forward.
All right, so that's the view coming in on the index. Yes, we remember, Milind, your last words when we spoke to you last week. But now, what are the stocks that you're eyeing on?
The metal sector is very hot, and I have selected both these stocks from the metal sector. That is, one can buy in copper, currently trading at 303 somewhere, and keep a stop loss of 279. Target would be 340 to 360. The second stock which we have seen buying is of SAIL, which is currently trading somewhere around 141, 142 levels. One can keep a stop loss of 135, and a target would be somewhere around 150 to 155 in a couple of days' time.
All right, Milind, thanks so much for taking us through that, and thanks so much for the time out and joining us. With that, we'll let you go, but let's understand a little bit more on the technical side and what were the stocks that Shrishti was spotting on the breakout side. Shrishti, I believe both your stocks are on the breakout side today. Take our viewers through it.
Well, yes, given the cheer in the markets, both the counters are on the breakout side. First off, let's have a look at Voltas. The stock was seen to be hitting its 52-week high levels today, and not just that, is inching very close to its all-time high levels as well. But on the daily time frame, you'll clearly see that breakout, because in the last month or so, the stock managed to touch that level of 11,020 odd rupees briefly, but was under the pressure with the markets then, and once again resuming its journey upwards. So this is the first stock that we wish to highlight on the breakout side. The stock is very well above its 20-day moving average, took a support at its 20-day moving average a couple of days back, and is sustaining those moves with a long build up on the derivative side. So this is the first counter on the breakout side. Moving on to the next counter then, and that is United Breweries on the charts. Quite an interesting one. Why so? Because you will clearly see a downtrend on this particular counter, but a falling trend line breakout is what we have witnessed in today's trading session. Just earlier, back on Thursday, it did make a bullish engulfing pattern, which was seen to be breaking above its 20-day moving average. The stock is seen to be continuing its momentum upwards, but today's move was also supported by a short covering. So this will be a key to track, that whether all these short coverings get converted into the long build up or not in the times ahead. But for today, this is what we have spotted on the breakout side. So these are the two stocks, Nehi, that we wish to highlight on the breakout side. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks very much, Shrishti, for spotting both these breakout stocks for us. But then this is what market saw today. But then how are the fundamentals looking like? Is this rally going to sustain further? How is the buying in broader markets looking like? For all this, we spoke to Ravi Dharmashi, CIO of Value Quest Investment Advisors, and he believed that there is more froth in the SME space. Let's listen to him, what he has to say.
Froth is a strong word, but if you had to say that word, it is more in the SME space than in the mid and small cap space. The degree of euphoria or bullishness varies from space to space. So SME has the maximum, kind of froth over there, which has kind of corrected itself due to the regulatory nudge, and I think it was more definitely required. But mid and small cap, you can say, are probably a standard deviation above its long-term average, which makes it on the expensive side. But I won't call it so to say a euphoria or a bubble. That's a too harsh a term in my opinion. And on the other hand, the large cap space is definitely looking attractive. So I think we have the entire gamut, entire spectrum available in the market. I won't be worried about a small spot in the market being a little frothy, because that would be like tail wagging the dog.
Alright viewers, that's the word coming in from Ravi Dharamshi. But on that note, we'll slip into a very short break on this edition of Your Trades. We'll be right back with more news and updates about how today's market session was, so you stay tuned.
Welcome back. You're watching Your Trades on 80 now. PNP Housing was one such stock which was buzzing today, nearly 13% up today on the back of strong it was a Morgan Stanley note. What we understand, Snehi, that there was already a long-term rating upgrade from ICRA, CARE. But what did Morgan Stanley said that the stock was 13% up today?
Well, absolutely not 13, Priyanka. That stock was 19% up in today's trading session. At 13, we thought the stock couldn't go any higher. But well, look at the moves that the stock has clocked in today. 19% uptick coming in on this stock. Now, what's key to understand is that over the course of the long weekend, you had two credit rating agencies, CARE Rating as well as ICRA. They've gone ahead, upgraded the long-term rating of this company to AA+ of the company and the products that it offers to AA+. On the back of this credit rating upgrade, Morgan Stanley came out with a note this morning where they've gone ahead, maintained an overweight rating with a price target of 970 rupees per share, which well is quite far away even after this almost 19% uptick that the stock saw today. So quite the upside coming in from Morgan Stanley this morning. They're saying that this rating upgrade is positive for growth, for profitability, and they're saying that this upgrade is going to improve the availability and borrowing cost of the company as well. It's going to benefit the loan spreads as well as loan growth over time. Now, they're also saying that they do understand that the stock underperformed in the last 2 months, likely due to the profit taking that we had seen in the entire mid space. But what they're saying is that now seems to be a good entry point for this stock from a near and a medium term perspective. So, well, they have this very positive stance when it comes to PNB Housing. What's also key to note is that during the Q3 results, when we interacted with the management, they had said that the credit cost guidance they had lowered for FY24 to FY26. They had revised their retail loan guidance to roughly 15% for FY24 from the 17% mark that they had given earlier. They had also said that they expect margins to be anywhere between the 3.5% to 3.6% for the near term. So, well, they were rather cautious when it comes to their outlook, but on the back of these two major credit ratings that have come and the Morgan Stanley note, the stock has done pretty well today. So we will be watching out for what the management has to say when we interact with them when the Q4 numbers come out. But as of now, Priyanka, seems very positive for the stock.
Absolutely, Snehi. Yes, 19% up today. And then, of course, there was a huge underperformance on the stock, but then looks like that hangover is over now. All right, let's go further. Shift focus to Indus Tower now. This was another stock which was buzzing on the on a brokerage note. Indus Tower that shot up after a bullish note from CLSA, an outperformed rating. Somit is here to tell us more about this note. Somit, please take us away.
Well, it's actually the CLSA note which has led to this run-up in both the stocks, that is Vodafone Idea and Indust Stars. Now, for Indus Stars, CLSA has maintained the outperform rating but have hiked the target price to 335 from an earlier target price of 256 rupees. Now, actually, there is nothing incremental. The reason why they have increased their target price is because they are believing that Vodafone Idea's planned fundraise would go through, and that would lead to a payment of dues or clearing of dues of Vodafone Idea to Indus Stars, and that would boost Indus Stars EBITDA, and the could be in double digit going forward, and hence the brokerage has actually upgraded or hiked their target price on Indus Stars. Now, do remember earlier when there were delayed payments from Vodafone Idea, Indus Stars had to provide for that amount, which had led to a fall in their EBITDA number, and eventually it also led to a derating in the share prices. And this derating, which had happened earlier, is now reversing, and the brokerage is expecting that Vodafone Idea's fundraise will go through, and the same will lead to payment to Indus Stars, and hence the brokerage has turned bullish. Now, apart from that, they're also saying that the consolidation that has happened in the sector is also positive for Indus Stars, and currently if you see Indus Stars share prices is trading at a discount of nearly 65% to global tower companies, and that is because nearly 70% of its stake is owned by the mobile telecom companies, which is expected to reduce further going forward, and hence the discount could also come down as per the brokerage. So these are broadly the reasons why CLSA has increased the target price on Indus Stars.
All right, Swami, thanks so much for taking us through that. Indus Tower was yet another stock in focus today on the back of a very solid positive brokerage note coming in. But while we did speak about a bunch of stocks, there is a whole host of other stocks that were abuzz today on the back of order wins, on the back of capacity expansions, or well, today was the 1st of April, so on the back of those auto sales numbers as well. And my colleague Gaurav is joining in with a roundup of all of those stocks. Gaurav, hi, take it away.
Well, yes. First, let's talk about Astra Microwave, because company recently won an order from HAL worth 56 crore rupees, and this order is going to be executed in the next 10 months. And talking about the stock performance also, we have seen a positive trend coming up in the stock in today's trade. Let's also talk about HAL, because company has now said that they have one order worth 1173 crore rupees, and at the same time company will report highest revenue of 29,810 crore rupees in FY24, which is actually a growth of 11% on a YY basis. And on back of this news also, we saw the stock was trending up in a positive trend, and it was up almost 2.5% in today's trade. Let's also talk about Confidence Petro, because company recently said that they have commissioned 3 more units of CNG station in Bengaluru. Now the total count stands at 35, and company is moving towards a total count of 100 CNG stations in Bengaluru. And on back of this news also, we saw the stock was up almost 7% in today's trade. Let's also look at Maruti Suzuki, because recently the company came up with the numbers for the month of March, and if you look at the total sales number, they were up percent on a YY basis for the month of March at 1.87 lakh units, and for domestic sales these numbers stands at 1.61 lakh units, actually up 15% on a YY basis for the month of March. And lastly, let's also talk about NCC, because company recently received an order worth 3,086 crore rupees, and during the financial year FY23-FY24 company has secured total orders worth 26,000 crore rupees itself, and that is why on the back of this news also the stock has been performing in a positive trend. So all in all, on back of all these news, we will definitely keep an eye on all these stocks and see how they perform in tomorrow's trade as well.
Very much, Gaurav, for compiling the entire list of those stocks. We will certainly keep them on radar. But then one stock which was certainly on the radar was one of the global sector, that was metal sector. It was up 3% today, metal index, top gainer, and then names like Hindustan Copper, Steel Counters, Vedanta, NMDC, all were buzzing because of the supportive macro data that came in from China, March manufacturing PMI data. Ashesha joins in with more details on this. Ashesha, tell us.
Well, yes, Nifty Metal Index was one of the top sectoral gainers today, which registered gains of nearly 3.5% to 4% in today's trading session. And we had Welspun Corp, Hindustan Copper, Vedanta, NMDC as some of the top gainers on the Nifty Metal Index. One of the main reasons, of course, was positive news flow that came in from China. After several months of underperformance, Chinese manufacturing PMI index for the month of March was better than expected, and hence we saw that surge come in on metal stocks. Apart from this, also remember Hindustan Copper was the top gainer on Nifty Metal Index, which registered gains of nearly 8 to 9% today, and that was on account of surge in copper prices. Copper prices have risen nearly 4% in the last 1 month alone, and that is what is aiding the surge in Hindustan Copper. On the flip side though, we have iron ore prices which continue to fall. Iron ore prices have now fallen below that $96 per ton, which is a negative for iron ore producers, the likes of NMDC and GMDC. NMDC and GMDC were gaining in trade today, but remember in the last 1 month or so they have fallen. But this is a positive for steel manufacturers, because iron ore is a key raw material that is required for steel manufacturing. The likes of SAIL, Tata Steel, JSW Steel were all gaining on the back of this news flow. So clearly across the board, commodities continue to be in favor, with copper prices on the rise, but iron ore prices continue to decline.
All right, Ashesha, thanks so much for taking us through that. Let's get a move on to an Now, exclusive now, we learn from reliable sources that the oil ministry is readying the first 100 days agenda for the new government, which is likely to be submitted to the cabinet secretariat by the end of this month. Now, what does this agenda entail, and what more can we expect from this, and what should we be looking out for? We're being joined by my colleague Prakash Priyadarshi for details on just that. Prakash, take it away.
Yes, we are learning from our sources that the oil ministry has just started working on first 100 days agenda of the new government, and various proposals are being taken into consideration. We are given to understand that the government is likely to announce an incentive scheme for natural gas pipeline connectivity in the country. Sources are informing that the companies would be given incentives to connect pipeline infrastructure from CBG plant to city gas distribution network. A very significant development coming in. We are also given to understand that the government is likely to bear 50% of the overall project cost under this scheme, and these proposals would be sent to the cabinet secretariat by end of this month. Along with that, sources are also informing that the oil ministry is working on a fresh proposal to launch a PLI scheme for oil and gas sector, where incentives would be given on manufacturing of equipment being used in city gas distribution network. A very significant development coming in. In addition to that, we are also given to understand that big reform in marketing and pipeline infrastructure being chalked out, where marketing and pipeline infrastructure would be developed for all kind of new energy sources that include green hydrogen, green ammonia, compressed biogas, among others. The existing pipeline infrastructure would be connected with the all new energy sources, and the proposals are being taken into consideration. We are also given to understand that the PNGRB will be empowered to regulate all kind of pipeline infrastructure in the country that will connect all new energy sources, and therefore a common carrier operator that would be known as a TSO being planned, and that will come under the purview of PNGRB, and the government is likely to hold majority stake in transport system operator or TSO.
Much, Prakash. So, a lot of developments coming in from oil and gas sector. Thanks very much. Keep an eye on this developing story. Thanks very much. That's all in this edition of Your Trades. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned to ET Now for more updates.